Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today I'm going to speak about the Olympus OMD E-M5 MKIII. Let's start. Whoa! OMD E-M5 MKIII. Olympus has this very funny way of naming their cameras. Obviously, for MKIII, they keep the rest, or E-M5. I don't know why they call it this way. It's very hard for me to say in any language, even in French. So, I don't know, but they call them this way. That's it. So let's speak about it. First, I don't like to do that kind of video because I haven't had the camera yet in my hand. But I'm receiving a lot of email and a lot of comments of people asking about my opinion. I answered that I didn't have the camera in my hand yet. I cannot tell my opinion, but they still say, well, you would check the specs and tell what you think or whatever. So I decided to check a few reviews of other YouTubers. Steve Huff is one of them, so I put a link to his video. And Robin Wong, who is an Olympus ambassador, and he's been an Olympus expert for many years. And I think both are really serious. Steve Huff presented the JPEG he made with them and gives his opinion. I think he's sincere and honest. And second, Robin Wong, which is a really funny guy when he speaks, I think he really shows the best of each camera, what you can really do. And I think both reviews were really honest and easy to trust. But I'm going to tell them also my opinion, and I check other reviews that confirm a bit what I'm thinking. No? So I'm going to give you the main differences between the OMD E-M5 MKIII I've been using for the last 4 years. I've got two bodies and I'm really happy with them. And I will tell you a bit the difference. So the first difference people always speak about is resolution, and the MKIII had 16.1 megapixels and the MKIII has 20.4. Many people think, oh, that's great, an extra 4 megapixels. Well, for me, having 16 is plenty. I never had a problem with only 16. It was okay. So having 20 is more space on my hard drive, more than a solution to anything. But well, it's nice to have this extra 4. Some people are criticizing because they wanted 24 megapixels because Sony is making a micro four third sensor, not for using it themselves because they don't do micro four third cameras for what I know, or at least the one we speak about. And they do sell this sensor to other companies like Olympus and Panasonic or whoever, and other camera makers that do use micro four thirds, especially in video. But no, it's not this 24 megapixels. So some people are disappointed. I think 20 is plenty. It's great, no problem, nothing to complain about. The screen, they've bettered about the resolution of the screen. Now it's instead of 1,037,000 dots, now it's 1,040,000. I'm not sure you will see much difference. It's still touchable. But it's still one touch, it's not multi-touch. You cannot do like increasing the size of a picture on it, zooming with your both fingers, as some camera do, or you can do on your smartphone. It's a bit of a pity they've not bettered that, but well, I don't think it's a problem to me, but some people would probably like to have this. ISO, the base ISO is still 200 ISO, but you can force it down to 100 and up to 25,600 ISO. The native are from 200 to 6400. In a review, I don't know why, the guy says about 64 ISO as a forced lower ISO. I could not confirm it, so I took some notes, but I didn't check everything anyway, because I think if you are really interested in the full specs, you can check on Olympus website anyway. But well, the thing to remember is we're still on 200 ISO base. Frame per second. The MKIII was on 9 frames per second when you're doing burst photography, and the new one is on 10 with mechanical shutter and on 30 on electronic shutter. And if you combine both, you're on 15 images per second. So this is great. I mean, It's not as much as the 60 image per second the one Mark II is giving you, the EM1 Mark II is giving you, but still for that price it's cheaper than the one. And if you're doing some sport photography, maybe you don't need even that 60 images per second, so I think 30 is fine. Autofocus point, they went from 81 to 120 dots, points, but more important than number of dots, I think what's important is that it was contrast detection and now it's phase detection. So it's a lot better. Actually, the autofocus system they've put in there is the same as the one used on the 1 Mark II and the 1X. So I think for that price tag, you get a brilliant autofocus system in an affordable camera. So congratulations Olympus on that one. High res. You know that Olympus has a system called high resolution. Now some other cameras like the Alpha 7 R4 Mark IV, they use it also. They actually make 8 pictures. They just move the sensor off a pixel in every direction, and then they get all the pictures together. On the Mark II you would get a 40 megapixel JPEG or a 64 megapixel RAW file. And on the Mark III, you get a 50 megapixel JPEG or an 80 megapixel RAW file. It's a great system, but don't forget you need to be stable. The subject must be stable. It's not like for landscape without some trees moving, it's going to give you a problem. You cannot do it handheld, it has to be on a tripod. But for product photography, I think it's great to have this option, and it works. So they repeat with a bit better system because the sensor has more resolution, same as on the 1 Mark II and the 1X. So obviously they benefit from this. Video. Well, this is a big step up because the Mark II was full HD and HD. And now on the new one, on Mark III, you have 4K Cine with 24 images per second. Standard 4K, I think it's 25 and 30 images per second, but the full HD goes from 25 images per second up to 120 images per second. So if you want to do slow motion, it's going to be possible in full HD and not just a bit of slow motion, really slow. 120 is great. The bitrate on 4K I think is 240 megabits. So, but we need to confirm about it by memory right now, okay? But if you're really interested in that, check this. Today I'm mainly speaking about my impression reading the specification. Well, one thing that changed a lot is that the body now is not metal anymore, it's not magnesium, now it's plastic. It's a really tough, hard plastic. And the build is still as good because they've kept the weather seal and the climate seal in the way that is still dust proof, splash proof and frost proof up to minus 10 degrees Celsius. So they kept all this, so I think it's a good news. It's a bit lighter now, 50 grams. Then stabilization, image stabilization. It's still 5 axes, obviously, and on Mark II it was on Mark II it was 5 stops, and now it's 5.5. So what is a stop? So let's say you're taking a picture at 125th of a second without stabilization. With stabilization, you would do 125, 160 is 1 stop, 160, 130, 2 stop, 130, 115, 2 stop, 115, 1.8, 4 stops. 1.8 down to 1/4, 5 stops. So if with that stabilization you were making the picture at 1/25th of a second, now you can do it at 1/4. Actually on my 5 Mark II, I've made many pictures at 1 second exposure without any problem. So now it's even more, it's 5.5 stops, so I think it is great. Connectivity. You had before Wi-Fi, USB, but an Olympus standard, so you actually needed to have an Olympus cable. If you lost it, you had to buy a new one, and HDMI. But on the new one, they've put Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, micro USB, so they didn't put a USB-C, but micro USB and HDMI. But the new USB port lets you charge a camera. So although they give you a separate charger, which is great, you can also charge plugging directly into the USB port. And also you can use a power bank. So if you're recording video, whatever, you can actually put a power bank charging your camera in the meanwhile. So this is really good news, I think. Battery, they changed the battery. It used to be the BLN1 on the Mark II that gave you 310 pictures. And the new one, they've put a smaller battery, the same as on the 10 Mark III, which is the model BLS50. And it also gives you 310 pictures, but the battery is lighter. So with the plastic and the battery being lighter, the camera is actually a bit lighter. Instead of weighing 469 grams, now it's down by 50 to 414 grams. But one thing, many people think 310 pictures is really not much, and it is not much, it's not that many. But the way they measure that is the way SAIPA tell them to measure. And actually, my own experience, I've never made less than 500 or 600 pictures on a single battery. Why? Because people don't actually use the camera the same way as the norm, the SAIPA is telling them to do it, to measure. So, for example, first, obviously, you have to switch off the camera when you're not using it, because if you don't switch it off, when it's against your body, the viewfinder thinks you're actually putting your eyes there. It will be switched on. It's not, the camera is not asleep. It's actually awake, and this consumes battery. So switch it off. Second, you have the option to have on automatic autofocus searching all the time, even if you're not making a picture. Get this out, switch it off, and always have the autofocus work when you press the shutter, not on its own, otherwise it consumes a lot of battery. And obviously, if you are all the time checking the picture you've just made, well, you will have a result that the battery will last a lot shorter time, obviously. The size is really similar. It's 2 millimeters longer and it's 5 millimeters thicker. Why is it thicker? Because they've changed the grip. It seems like the grip is a lot nicer to hold. So this is probably why it's a bit thicker. But if you look at the camera, you think they're the same camera. They've actually changed the place of button on the top, the wheels. But this is really the main difference and not much. Visually, you won't see the difference in these two cameras. You will see the button are different, but if you look like a couple of meters away, you think it's the same camera. The focusing, they've bettered it a lot. As I said before, it's now face detection. They have added some serious autofocus tracking. Eye detect is bettered a lot. Now it's directly on the sensor, so for video this is a lot better. Micro adjustment. They've made a lot of new things. The autofocus is actually the same system as the 1 Mark II and the 1X. So you get a really like a little 1D, like a little 1 Mark II into your 5 Mark III. So these are good news. Microphone connector, they both have microphone connectors, but they don't have headphone connector. So if you need to monitor your sound, that's a problem. On the Mark II, you have an optional grip where you can plug a headphone in there, but we don't know yet if there will be a grip for this camera. So no idea. For me, it's not a problem because I use a separate recorder anyway. The processor is, they go from the TruePic 7 to the TruePic 8. It's faster. Obviously, it's not as fast as the 1 Mark II that has the double processor, and the 1X has, I don't know what else anyway. So, but still, it's better than what we had now. It's a bit faster. Dust protection. The dust cleaning system by Olympus is brilliant. I think it's the best system you've ever seen. In almost 4 years with Olympus, I never had to clean my sensor, ever, never. And they say they've bettered it, so I don't know, maybe it's going to be like 10 years without cleaning your sensor, no idea, but they've bettered it. Flash synchro, it seems to be still 250th of a second, but I read somewhere it was 320th, but I could not confirm it, so check it, but I think it's still 250th of a second. RAW file are 12 bits. Not 14 bits. I don't know if it's because it's micro four thirds, not possible to have 14 bits. Many people would have liked 14 bits, but well, for me it's not a problem. I never had a problem with my colors or whatever, having a 12 bit. So for me, this is not a reason for me not to buy a camera anyway. I'm finishing now because the sun is getting here and I don't want to move the car, so my beard is almost burnt now. So my conclusion, what are they? Many people are asking, Eric, are you going to buy this camera? My answer is easy. I've not changed the kind of picture I've made, and what I have right now is enough for me. But as a professional, I've got this camera for almost 4 years, so it would be logical to change them. So the question is, would I buy this Mark III or would I go for the one Mark II? And actually, why don't I have Mark II and I have the why don't I have the 1 series and I use the 5 series? Because actually, when I bought my 5 Mark II bodies, I've got 2. The 1 Mark II did not exist, and there was the 1 Mark I, if I can call it like this, and the Mark II had advanced feature that the one didn't have. So for me it was a better camera. Then the 1 Mark II arrived, and it came with new things that were great, like the Pro Capture. If you do action photography, actually when you actually do the picture, you half press the trigger, it starts making picture before you actually trigger. It's like it keeps the last 16 pictures and then it bursts at 60 images per second. The Mark III does it at 30 images per second. On the Mark II, 5 Mark II doesn't exist. So if you want to have action photography, before the Mark III existed, it was great to have the 1 Mark II. But for me, I've used it a lot because I made some demo for Olympus in France. And I think the 1 Mark II is great, but I don't actually need that. So when it's time to replace my camera, I would probably go for the 5 series. I will keep with Olympus because I'm really happy with them. I don't work for them. I do pay for my cameras. They don't give me anything. But I think still I will keep with Olympus. I'm really happy with the Micro Four Thirds format, all this. But I would probably go for the 5 Mark III because it will better what I have a bit. The video part, probably yes, quite a bit. But for me, I don't need what the 1 Mark II or the 1X is giving. They're brilliant cameras. They're really brilliant cameras. But I don't think I need them. I prefer the Mark III and the small size, all that. And but when the 1 OMD E-M1 Mark III exists, we don't know if it will exist, but if it gets to exist, we'll see what they offer also. But probably there are many things I will not need anyway. So yes, I recommend this camera. If you don't have any camera, I would say go directly for this Mark III because Olympus is really serious. They don't make new cameras every year or every 6 months. This camera has been on the market for 4 years, and the next one, the Mark III, will probably be also like 4 years on the market or 3 years or whatever. And I think it's logical to get the latest one, so it gives value, all this. But if you cannot afford the Mark III, the Mark II is still a great camera, still available. They will keep selling it, at least for some time. And I think this is a great option. So when I get to change my cameras, yeah, I will probably go for the 5 Mark III. I forgot to say that they've bettered the viewfinder. Now it's on OLED or LED viewfinder. It's better than the one they have right now. So I like the one we have now, so it will be even better. Well, I think it's a perfect vlogging camera because you can actually flip the screen. You will have 4K for people who like to work in 4K. It's quite light. The stabilization is great. If you don't want to use the gimbal, it will help you in many situations. So I think it's probably a great newcomer to the vlogging gear. And people who were thinking about the Mark II, but they felt it was not perfect for that, I think this one is a great option, no doubt about that. What else can I say? But I'm really eager to try the camera myself to give you my my personal impression. But on paper and for what I've seen, these are my impression. I hope you like this video. If you think it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a small button down here and also a small bell. If you click on it, you'll get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, you can leave comment below, send me an email to info@ericgibaud.com. Below, I also put links of my gear on Amazon and also links to other parts of my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Bye.